Hi, everyone. Welcome to Relationship Wednesdays with the Diva. I feel like I haven't been at an actual Relationship Wednesday in like weeks. I've had a couple of guests. I hope you was able to view those interviews. Really interesting. Working on some guests coming up. But today we're back. We're back. We're gonna do a mixture of relationship questions and some hot topics. So let me bring Chef Kev in the building. Hey, hey.
What's up? What's good? What's good? What's good?
I feel like I haven't like seen you in forever.
It's
Um,
been a minute.
so
It's
here
been a
we
minute.
are. Huh?
It's been a minute. It's
It's
been a
been
few
a
weeks.
minute.
3 weeks.
Yeah. Oh, it's been 3 weeks. Wow. So yeah, you're right. It has been a minute. So here we are on Relationship Wednesday, and we're gonna start out with some hot topics that's kind of going on in the world right now. The first one I'm gonna bring up is like the topic that it seems like everyone's talking about right now, which is a very unfortunate situation. And I'm going to approach it with a lot of sensitivity and sensitivity because unfortunately lives were lost. We have individuals that are still kind of fighting for their lives. And I want to say the youngest victim is, 9 years old. Pretty much the last I read is still like kind of fighting for his life. So Travis Scott, along with others. So it wasn't like it was just him, but I think he was the headliner and the big name at this Astro World concert that was at an outside venue and that had a ton of people there. And unfortunately, some things were happening, some things were going on, and it's just tragic right now because as I stated, people lost their lives, people got trampled on. The last I read, I don't know if they resolved this yet, they feel like someone was in the crowd puncturing people with some type of drugs or something like that. So it just went haywire and it went crazy. And before I get your thoughts on it, Kev, they also said and brought up that unfortunately, things are not looking good on Travis' side because they brought up all of these old tweets from his previous concerts where he pretty much was encouraging, when people got hurt and they took it sort of like a champ, so to speak. He was encouraging, saying, like, oh, you took that like a hero, like you're good, like, them getting beat up at these concerts. So it was almost like a badge of honor for some of his concert goers to attend one of his shows and something happened to them. They're also claiming that people in the crowd were yelling to them at the time of all of this happening, to pretty much stop the concert because there was chaos going on in the crowd. And he said he didn't hear it. And on top of that, there was some after party after the concert. So they tried to say, like, he was insensitive. Like, how can you go to a party, after party, knowing that this tragedy happened at your concert or whatever the case may be? And he of course said he did not know. And then when he was at this after party, I believe it was at Dave and Buster's, given by Drake. And when he was at this after party, once he heard that there was so much tragedy there, he left. He also did issue an apology and said he was going to do all that he can to help everyone in this situation. And that's a lot of background to the story. So tell me your thoughts on this whole entire situation.
Hold on. So I was able to read a little bit about it. I don't know the background as far as a concert. Um, right now, I hear passing blame. I was watching on CNN, and they're saying the police should have stopped it. The police are saying the concert promoter should have stopped it. Uh, I did hear Travis Scott wasn't even on stage when it happened. Um, One of the other artists actually said, "Oh my God, Amon Shumpert's wife, Tatiana Shumpert. I can't pronounce her name right, but she said it's hard to, know what's really going on. I don't know, but um, it, it, it concert should have been stopped. It was, but I don't know whose responsibility, who it was. Was it the artist, the promoter, or the police to shut the venue down? Especially when people are dying and you got to call. I don't know whose responsibility it is, but it's somebody's responsibility. It's going to fall on somebody's hands. And so that's where it loses me because I really don't know who to point the finger at. I can't say, oh, Travis Scott is to blame or this one is to blame. If he did know about it, then the concert should have been shut down. Once one person gets trampled and people die, but this has been going on for years. This happened at Michael Jackson concerts. This happened at, if you remember the old concerts back in the day, you see the people passing out and they dragging them across the stage and stuff like that. And so this is nothing new. But I do believe that we just have to find where the fault lies. But I don't know. I can't sit here and definitively say if he knew about it, he shouldn't have performed. He should have shut down the concert because lives were lost and people were hurt. And on the other side, like I said, the promoters blaming the Houston Police Department. The Houston Police Department is saying it's not our fault. It was due to the promoter. So right now blame is being passed over and over. So, it was a tragedy. Whether it was an 8-year-old, 9-year-old kid or a 25-year-old adult, it's a tragedy when someone loses their lives just fighting for their lives. Because you go to a concert to have fun. You go to a concert to enjoy yourself, spend time with your friends. And this is why I don't like those big events. Because how you get in with a syringe, and there's always somebody being messy, and always some, you know what I mean? And even I know one of the officers said he felt a pricking back of his neck, and he got taken to the back and was they saw it. They found the pricking back of his neck, and then he was tested. So you have, unfortunately, you have jackasses like this who spoil somebody's good time. Their intentions was nothing good. It was not about having a good time. It was to spoil everybody else's fun, and this is what you have.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying. So my thoughts on it is this. I think there's several people to blame. It's not just one person to kind of, point a finger at. Like you said, which is true, things have happened at other concerts. But I think, and I could be wrong, I would have to do more research. The passing out at the Michael Jackson concert was more because of who he was. He was such a big icon, and people were just so in awe with him and admired him so much that they passed out for different reasons. And maybe some of them it had something to do with the heat or whatever the case may be. That's one situation. This is a different situation where, unfortunately, I think the piece that's going to hurt Travis Scott as this goes on, because people have already started to sue, is the fact that, and this is the thing with social media, and this is why everyone, whether you're a child or an adult, have to understand that once you put this out there in the world, no matter even if you delete it, it can be retrieved. So they have several tweets, which is going to be historical information, where after his concerts, when people got hurt, he would, pretty much treat it as if that person was a hero, like, oh, you took that like a G, and these people started to, after his concert, post their picture and let everybody know, like, I got hurt at this concert. And if he saw it, he would comment on it and like, the tweet or the post or whatever. So I think that unfortunately, that's not going to sit well with and be in his favor as these proceedings, begin to persist. So when we talk about who's to blame, right? I don't like those outside concerts with these ridiculously big venues where so many people can be in it. One of the reasons is, I like places where you have your ticket and your ticket tells you what seat or what space you're supposed to be in. And I think of when I used to go to a lot of concerts at Madison Square Garden, which is in New York City. And when you're younger, you know, you do stuff. So the most we would try to do, me and my friends, is we was going to sneak down to a level which we didn't pay to be on that level, but it was closer to the stage. But in a venue like Madison Square Garden, they had if you call them ushers or the people that look at your tickets or whatever, they would have them at every single door. And if you tried to sneak in an area in which you did not belong or you did not pay that price to be in that area, they'd be like, as soon as you get to that door, they're like, let me see your ticket. And then they'd be like, no, you got to go back upstairs to the right, to the left, and somebody up there will help you find your seat. So it wasn't so easy to bum rush the stage, so to speak. But now in this world, the way they do these mega concerts in this open space, there is no definitive, you know, line to try to cross. You can just go as soon as your favorite artist is on the stage, you can just go push your way up to the stage, and who's to stop you? And how much security would you need in order to kind of you know, prevent people from doing that? And how do you tell somebody, okay, you paid $5, so you can't move past this piece of the grass. You paid $50, you don't move past this piece of the grass. Like they have no boundaries, so to speak. So
Well,
that's why it's like the promoters are responsible. There's so many people responsible for this situation, because where are the boundaries when you pay for a concert and it's just this big open space?
well, part of it is the money because when an arena has seats. You fill up the seats. When you have a concert like that, it's a big, like so many acres of land. They have enough space for the stage, and then they try to determine what they can fit. The promoter's trying to get his money because he already paid the artist, because the promoter pays the artist, you know, and then you got to have a certain amount of room for the concessions. So everyone's trying to get paid. And it reminded me of the situation in New York with the Puff Daddy incident
Well,
when they over.
before you go there though, Kevin, you said a key point, right? You said that the promoters pay the artists. So on that note, then you can't blame the artist. All the blame, or if we're going by your theory, all the blame should be on the promoters. So I have nothing to do with how many tickets are being sold. If you're saying that the promoters, you know, I think maybe we're going to have to look at contracts here, right? Because if the promoter gives you a flat rate, and I'm making up a very low number, we know they get more than this. If the promoter gives you a flat rate of $15,000 and you're not getting any money off the ticket sales, well, then those ticket sales is none of my business, and I got nothing to do with how many people they tried to pack in here out of greed, so to speak. But we all know that they do these open spaces, right? Because you have almost unlimited access on how many tickets you sell and to get the money. But my thing is not just about, you know, greed and access. My thing is you cannot, when it's an open space and there's no compartments to contain anybody. I don't even know if they had a massive amount of security out there. How can you control that? How can you stop it? How can you go have a picnic or something in a park and you say you only invited 100 people, but 300 show up? How do you block them? You can't have a security guard where there's no definitive entrance. So unless you have security barricading the whole park, locked up in hands like this, anybody could get in and do whatever. I have never been to one of those open setting concerts. The crowd. Oh, somebody said the crowd is. It is tragic. And okay, so Steve Rich said the crowd is mostly to be blamed. I do agree. I do agree, but unfortunately, you know how they say if you throw a house party, um, and you serve alcohol at your house party, and I get drunk and I leave your house party, I'm drunk, and I go crash and kill 2 people, you can be responsible and liable for that because I was drinking in your house. You knew when I left I was drunk, and you let me leave. And I got in a car and I crashed and I killed people. So this concert situation is something similar. You have some liability as the promoters, and I'm guessing as the artist, to whatever happens to the people that are coming to see your show.
Mm-hmm. And the same thing happened, like I said, what happened with Puffy in New York, because he was a promoter.
Right.
He promoted the concert. The artist didn't get in trouble. The venue didn't get, they oversold tickets. They oversold tickets.
See, but that situation is a little different, right? They oversold tickets because it was in an actual building that has a capacity.
And
that has a capacity.
The thing is, there's still a capacity. My thing is, in that situation, I would have never took a kid to that situation. I don't care if it's your favorite artist, whatever. Not to that situation.
Well, I don't want to go down that path.
And that's because you have all, there's no control. You can't control what other people do.
You never will, right? But the only reason why I don't want to go down the path of judging about taking the kids, because right now there is a 9-year-old that's fighting for his life. I read this story and I understand why the parent brought him there. So I don't want to go down that path and talk about that.
I'm not judging the parent. I'm just talking about the situation. When you got a crowd because like I said, you can always go get the usher and Madison Square Garden or whatever center. You can go get the security guard. In a situation like that, it's so many people. I've been to concerts like that. I've been to a hip hop concert like that. It's so many people. Okay, why you think you can go to Madison Square Garden, you won't smell marijuana, but you go to one of them outside concerts, it's weed smoke everywhere because you can't determine who's smoking the weed. It's everybody who you going to arrest. And so, I'm saying is that the venue is, when you go to those places like that, and the way it's set up to, they call almost standing room only. It's set up for people to stand. You stand there for hours. And what happens is people get unruly. From what I understood, I think Drake came out. And everybody wanted to see Drake. And that's supposedly, they said, I heard that first. Then I heard about the guy with the person with the needle in the neck. And I heard about that you're not getting in Madison Square Garden with a needle in your pocket. You see what I'm saying?
I won't say that. What I will say is that, it's not going to be as easy. When they look in your bag, I mean, I just went to a show the other day. They flash a flashlight in your bag. They're not literally dumping out your bag. Now, a gun, I can say, yeah, you're probably not going to get in the Madison Square Garden with a gun. But
where did you go?
I went to a show and I had to pass through security. But even when I went to concerts and even when I go to Broadway, they're not dumping out your bag. So I can have a needle in my bag and they don't see it. But a gun is something different. So this person, a needle is a whole nother ball game, because you could be in the zip part of my bag. All they do when they look in your bag is they flash your flashlight in there and they send you through the metal detector. So you can get through with a needle. But either way, I'm gonna say, like, the very unfortunate part was, one, I think they got to do something about when they do these open venues and the way the crowd is. They're gonna have to find a better way to block it off and to have sections and to make sure that people don't move from out of their section. So when people started to bum rush the stage, when I read about it, people were crushed and they literally couldn't breathe. Hey, how are you? Thanks for stopping by. So people, couldn't breathe. So it's sad. And then people trampled over people. And then I think what happens too is, in those situations, people start to panic. And once you got panic is setting in, chaos goes, it just gets chaotic. But like I said, I think the hard part and what's going to happen with Travis is he has a history, like I said, of those tweets that are going to, kind of send him down the wicked path. They're going to use that against him. they're honestly going to use that against him. So let's throw in the next story that I have here. And the next story that I have here is this Aaron Rodgers. Okay. The NFL football player, and he is for the Green Bay Packers. And he used the play of words, right? So if we don't want to use the word that he lied, we could say he misrepresented the truth. Wait, let me see. I was in your panel live. A person put a super chat about me being hateful because I didn't agree with her. Um, which QK, which live panel? Um, Yeah, I was in your panel live. A person put a super chat about me being hateful because I didn't agree with her. Oh, I'm sorry about that. Oh, early. Oh, you talking about in Sherelle's world? Maybe you're talking about in Sherelle's world. So so this NFL player, Aaron Rodgers, he way before the incident. Oh, in Sherelle's world. Okay. Oh, I'm sorry that happened. I don't know what comment did you put that someone said you were being hateful. Let me know what comment you put in there. So Aaron Rodgers, he's an NFL player who, way before he got COVID, because he recently got COVID, he was asked about his vaccination status, and he said pretty much, yes, I'm vaccinated. And then he ended up getting COVID, and they found out he wasn't vaccinated. So he kind of backtracked, changed his words, and then he ended up getting a fine. It was a little under $15,000, but the actual Green Bay Packers got a fine for $300,000. But in addition to that, because he did not tell the truth, he was around his fellow NFL players and could have potentially exposed them. He was at the players' Halloween party. I mean, it's so many layers to this story, but I'll let you go ahead and jump in, Kev. You tell me how you feel about it.
He didn't put a play on words. He lied.
Wait,
Okay,
hold on
that's
one second, Kev. QK, I'm sorry about that. That's terrible, but people get they get emotional. Or they get emotional. So yeah, you just gotta kind of have thick skin. But go ahead, Kev.
he lied. That's not that's not pour syrup on something and try to call it pancakes. He lied. Um, he came out and he said, everybody know what immunized means. Okay.
That's what he said. I'm sorry, not I'm vaccinated. He said I'm
He
immunized.
said,
Yes, go
I'm
ahead.
immunized.
Yes.
Um, it's something, I'm going to go back to something someone said years ago. He was at a job and somebody came to work inebriated. And he said, Kev, I don't care if you drink a bottle of wine and sniff a shot and bag of cocaine. You come in here and do your job, ain't none of my business. But the minute you can't do your job or you're affecting other people's job, now it's everybody's business. His vaccination status was no one's business. It was on him. But the minute he lied and exposed himself like that, he followed protocol because there's no mandate in the NFL. The NFL
That's
just
not what happened. They
no,
got
they
fined.
have
They got fined
they're
because
not following protocol. That certain places have mandates where you have to wear a mask. They just said if you're vaccinated, not there's no protocol to the vaccine. I mean, there's no mandate to the vaccine. That's what I meant to say. What they're saying is if you're vaccinated, you don't have to wear a mask. If you're not vaccinated, on the sidelines you have to wear a mask. And when you greet the players in the middle of the field, you have to wear a mask. You can't be around more than 4 people at the facility, and you can't do interviews without a mask on. He did all that. But the thing that gets to me is, okay, Aaron Rodgers got fined. The Green Bay Packers got fined. I watched a couple of Packers games on TV. I seen him on the sideline. Kyler Murray, he was hugging on Kyler Murray after the game. Who was the quarterback of the Cardinals, the Arizona Cardinals. talking in his ear. You were in people's space. People saw this. When they go back and they were showing film, they showed film of him doing these things. So the NFL didn't say nothing. Now, here's where it gets messy, and here's where I'm going to come out. You suspended Cam Newton in the preseason because he attended an event for the New England Patriots. That's suspending him, quarantine him. He attended an event from the Patriots, and he was in quarantine. Okay? I don't know if it was this year or last year. I know I heard the story. 4 players from the Broncos, because they have tracking devices in their uniform, determine where they are, tried to cut out the tracking device in their uniform. The players got fined, and the Broncos got fined. I don't think the Broncos snitched on themselves. You knew about it. You watched this man on national television do this thing. You think Lamar Jackson or Kyler Murray or any of these black quarterbacks could have walked around willy-nilly in front of people, not being lying about the vaccination status? You knew, because when he got it, you knew he didn't. Because when they realized he had a quarantine for 10 days, they was like, the media was like, well, why you got a quarantine for 10 days if you got the vaccine shot? Oh, he's not vaccinated. So you did say you were immunized. So you watched this man break protocol for 8 weeks in the NFL, and the NFL didn't say nothing. So my question is, what black quarterback would have gotten away with that? There's a certain thing called privilege. He felt privileged, but y'all didn't stop him. You stopped somebody in the off season who's no longer on the team, who got cut because he went to an event without being vaccinated. There's other situations where people were quarantined because they was around people and they broke protocol. But Aaron Rodgers can step on the field knowing he's not vaccinated from day one, talk to the other quarterback, walk in the middle of the field, hug people, shake hands, and do interviews. And is seen going in, he's seen walking around the facility with no mask on, breaking protocol. So not only did the Green Bay Packers know he wasn't vaccinated, the NFL knew he wasn't vaccinated. But who's going to find the NFL if the NFL is going to find him? That's the problem I had. You're watching it. I'm not the only one seeing the game. You got several people watching the game. You got people in another state where they do the video in New York City, making sure to replay. If there are people watching for concussion protocol, so if the referees miss something and a person, like they see a person, they think the person's concussed, they can call and have him pulled off the field because of the way he's reacting or not reacting. But this man can walk around and no one says nothing. That's the issue I have with the situation.
Well, like I'm not a football person, right? But I saw Aaron Rodgers on this Green Bay Packers is one of their top players, right? Mm-hmm. So it's a mixture of several things. I don't care who you are, what you look like. When you're the chosen one, so to speak, when you're the favorite, they let you do whatever, however, whenever. So I'm not negating or discounting anything that you're saying, but I'm also saying that on top of that, because he is one of the chosen players, they was allowing him to get away with some extra nonsense, right? Just like Kyrie Irving, they ended up, saying he had the dough, but I guess this is what you was trying to say in reference to NFL. They do have clear distinctions about the vaccine that, you have to get it or you can't play. So, he was refusing to get it. And at first, well, I take that back because they was going by the rules of the state. So because he is a New York City team, if I'm understanding and remembering correctly, right? In New York, it is a mandate that you cannot be in any venue. You can't even eat in a restaurant without proof of your vaccination. So he was missing a lot of games as a result of not having a vaccine. And they said, they can't have a part-time player because it's just not fair. And so that's how he ended up kind of, not playing or whatever the case may be. But he was a favorite one too. So they was dealing with it at first. But I think when it goes down to the unfairness of him not being able to practice with everybody, depending upon where he was at, because he couldn't get in the practice facility because he didn't have the vaccine, that's when they just made a hardcore decision to be like, you know what, we can't do this. So this Aaron Rodgers is, a favorite, so to speak. And that's why they kind of let him get away with a whole lot of, stuff. Hey, Sassy, we haven't seen you in like forever. Welcome, welcome. So that's what it is. He just he got away with he's getting away. I'm gonna say he's getting away with a lot because in terms of their money, not us. For me, $15,000, that's a lot. But for him, that's a drop in the bucket. And I rounded it up. It's not even an actual whole 15,000. It's like 14,000 and change. But the Green Bay Packers, maybe they're going to look at this differently because they got hit with a $300,000 fine. Now, there is another team member. I just didn't write down his name. There is another team member that got fined along with this Aaron Rodgers. So he wasn't the only one. They do have another team member. So while we're on the football people, I want to throw in another football player, right? And he's from the Minnesota Vikings. I don't know if you heard about this story. His name is Delvin Cook. So Delvin Cook has an ex-girlfriend that is suing him. And I'm just going to kind of sum it up all together. She came for 3 years. And again, we're going to hit the sensitivity button, right? Because we don't want to downplay any, somebody putting their hands on someone else. So, but she claims for 3 years, he beat the hell out of her. Um, and she also produced pictures of herself where they're kind of gory and horrific, where it's just blood is everywhere. He came out and made a statement saying that he is the one that has suffered from domestic violence, and the story will eventually come out. But there's a lot to unpack with this situation. And again, we have to wait to hear more of it to know the exact truth. But part of the question I kind of would have is I do get why there are victims that don't speak up while they're in the midst of the situation. But I'm curious to know that for 3 years, you said this has been happening. I'm a guessing she never went to the police, and you rather sue than go to the police. There's some questions I have. I'll just put it that way. But let me hear your thoughts on the situation.
Um, this kind of reminds me of the situation with Mike Tyson when the girl went for money first before there was even a trial. She asked for $200,000, and that became an issue then because people got on her. Then she went to the cops and stuff like that. I read some of this. I know she put up a picture of a screenshot of a text message where he apologized to her and said that if you want to go to the cops, I understand. I'll take my punishment like a man.
Mm,
The thing is, we don't know when that text message was.
doesn't
There's
matter.
no date on it. There's no date on it. So,
But it's proof.
yeah, it's proof that something happened. Now, there's a situation where he claims she held him at gunpoint. That's another thing. My thing is she claimed, and I didn't read your part. The part I read, she was coming to break up with him. She came from whatever to break up with him. It was TMZ I was reading. and she wanted to get her stuff out the house, and he pulled the gun on her. He pulled the gun, but then she said he chased her with a broomstick. I didn't quite get that. You pulled the gun, you pulled the gun, she's gonna run. I know what the broomstick was for. Then he claimed she came through the garage where he was asleep and pulled the gun on him. We're not talking about just a punch because I'm opposed to domestic violence in any shape or form, whether it's towards the bed. I believe nobody should hit nobody. When guns come out, you better call 911. I'm
Well,
not.
Kevin.
If once I get away, I'm calling 911. I may talk my way out the situation. Look, calm down. Let's just work this out. Whatever. Once you leave or once I leave, 911 is being called. Somebody pulled the gun on me. You know, I don't see, and supposedly it's been broken up for a year. So I don't, and then he said she was trying to, they have supposedly his lawyer said they have evidence of her trying to extort him for money. So it's hard to say it's new. We don't know. We got to wait to see what comes up. The text message looks damaging. But is that him texting her? It just says Dalvin the cook. You know what I mean? It's somebody. It could be somebody else's name. You could do a lot with a phone. You know, so a screenshot means nothing. You know, I have a family member that works for a phone company. Says you have to go back and investigate because he investigated a sexual harassment case. The girl deleted all the texts she sent and kept the text and kind of put it together, make like he was harassing her. But when they went in the back and pulled up all the texts, she was interacting with him and just tried to get a lawsuit. So we don't know what's going on here. I'm not saying that's what she's doing. I don't know. So until we go into the back part of it, that's what I'm saying. Like, we don't know what he was texting her about, or if that was even him. You know, I can change your name to Delvin Cook on my phone. You know what I mean? So we don't know who was texting who. So it just seems like um, everyone's claiming victim. He's claiming victim. She's claiming victim. I find it interesting. No one called the police or any type of authority. Um, she got pictures. There was no medical. You know, you in the field. When you go to the hospital, you got to answer questions. You know, did you, like something, what happened, so it's a good example. A friend of mine, ex-coworker of mine, does this thing against domestic violence, right? And she was trying to make a statement. So she posted this thing about domestic violence on Facebook, and I saw her face beat up, and she got a bunch of calls, and she said, no, somebody made my face up like that. We were just trying to make a statement about domestic violence. But when you look at the picture, she like somebody whooped her behind. Because I picked up the phone and called her. Like, you good? What's up? You know what I mean? And she said, no, it was just something. I work with this group, and we was trying to put out domestic violence. So it could have been a situation. Somebody could have dolled her up to look like that. We don't know. I'm not saying they did that, but it's so much out there. Like, I don't understand. Like you said, you're running for money and not calling the cops. I don't.
I'm gonna say this. I honestly don't think that she just did that, right? The pictures look like real blood. It looks like a real situation. So I will say this: if the text was from him, and yes, you can play games with phones, right? But if the text was from him, not good, because you're not going to say, oh, if you go to the cops, go to the cops. If I just stole your candy bar and like took your candy off the table, like it's something in that. So maybe they had a volatile relationship, because she said for 3 years, this was the situation. I don't know if she did, perhaps take her story to the cops. I don't know, but it's interesting, and I guess this is going to have to play itself out. But I did some history with the football players, right? And I'm sure maybe this is in other sports and other situations, but there are a lot of football players out there, unfortunately, that have found themselves in domestic violence situations. And I'm wondering if there's some correlation between them on this field getting knocked upside the head all the time, because that's not good. I mean, trauma to your head is not good. And I know this is a sport and they have this whole thing on, concussions and all that. But do you remember the Ray Rice situation
Mhm.
where, and unfortunate, but I guess fortunate, his situation happened to be caught on camera. And that's the only reason why we can prove for a fact that he did what he did. But again, we can't say why do people stay, because his wife,
Married.
wasn't even married to him at that time. She married him after that. After the world seen that, after we know she went through it where he physically knocked her out, she married him after that. Like, she stood by his side. And then there was many names I could bring up, but I will also bring up the Ray Caruth situation. Now, we don't know of any, physical activity before or whatever the case may be, but we do know that he took his girlfriend's, well, I don't know if you want to say, he took the woman that was carrying his baby's life, because he did not want her to have this child. And then, of course, it's the infamous one with what is his name? The OJ Simpson. But there are so many. There's Ocho. He changed his name to Ocho Cinco. There's
Ted
Cam.
Johnson.
Yeah, Chad. Yeah, Chad. There are so many of these football players that find themselves in these type of situations, and I'm just wondering, is there some correlation between this, impact that they have as a result of this sport on the field that may be causing this, or is it just something that has been in them and is just in them, and they just happen to be football players, but this is something that is just in them.
Well, baseball has had a couple of few of those. Actually, one guy, the video of him dragging a girl down the stairs and beating her a few years ago. It was a Spanish player, and he was in their country. There's a few players where I mean, few sports where things. I think the Ray Rice put the light on it. The Ray Rice situation because it was a camera. Um, and then the women's rights groups because for people who don't know, the reason why the fine is so heavy for abusing women because the women went to Anheuser Busch, and Anheuser Busch spends $1 billion in each sport every year on advertisement and said we'll pull all our ads if you do nothing about it. That's why they cracked down on it. It had nothing to do with being there for a woman. Anheuser Busch stepped in, but I think it could be something that because I see with Marines, you look at the military, I see a lot of abuse from ex-Marines. I don't know if it's the way that the boot camp or the way the mindset is trained. I don't know. So that could be part of it. It is a violent sport. It is you're hitting, you got guys 300, 400, 300 pounds, 200 pounds coming at a high rate of speed, just boom, so it's a lot going on there. Um, you get aggression when you lift weights. I know because I lift weights. It's a time you just had that. Not saying I'm gonna choke anybody, but at the end of the day, it got to be in you. And also too, steroids. There are things. I mean, they crack down on it, but there are things you take. There don't have to be steroids because I had somebody tell me this. Actually, trainer when I was looking to take something, he said, "Nah, don't take that. This is gonna make you aggressive." I was like, "Really?" He said, "Yeah." So that's part of it as well. And I think that sorry I dropped my light. But that's part of it as well. So I wouldn't put it past the fact of the concussion, But I, it could. I think it's the aggressiveness. You want them. They come out on the field. They are turned up. The aggression these guys are like. I had there was a football player on ESPN after he retired. He said, if I turn into that person that I was before a game, y'all will call the cops. That's how aggressive they get. Actually, the guy played for the Philadelphia Eagles. He said, if I turned up the way I got aggressive before the game, he said it's hard to turn that down. He said, y'all will call the cops because they get so amped up. And maybe when they go home, they'll never turn it off. You know what I mean? I'm just speculating here. But that's the only thing I can think of. But I don't think it's a concussion protocol because it's a violent sport. And they just started cracking down on concussion protocol, obviously less than 10 years ago because of the lawsuits. And so you got to go back. I mean, maybe it just wasn't reported because, in the 80s and 90s, you didn't hear a lot about it. But I do believe there could be a correlation between the sport and the violence. You know.
I think it's probably worth something that it is worth them kind of looking into it. I just think this is sad. These men have a lot of them come from backgrounds where they didn't grow up in money, and they get this amazing opportunity that changes their life pretty much overnight.
Mm-hmm.
And just to even be in a position that you're putting your hands on someone is just insane. And for men, and yes, I do believe that no one should touch anyone. A female shouldn't touch a guy. Like, when I say touch him, I mean, like, try to hit him or inappropriately or something like that. And a male shouldn't do it to a female. But I think guys are put in a unique position because if a female gets a little crazy, that's where I, as a guy, would step back and say, you know what? Dial 911 right now, because that can turn it can make a difference of you being in this position that his name is what, Delvin Cook is in,
Mm-hmm.
versus, not being in that particular position. But the trouble I think he's going to have to dig his hole out of, the pictures are very gory. The pictures speak more than 1,000 words. And even if he wants to claim self-defense, self-defense may be blocking someone and then dialing 911. I mean, you're stronger than her. So you hold her down, you dial 911, but the way she looked just wasn't a good scene. I'm gonna stay close to the story to see, pretty much how it pans out. But I think as it stands right now, it's not looking good. And they're wondering if the NFL was going to let him play in the game on Sunday. Now, he stood there and claimed that he's going to play the game on Sunday. And like I said, he's saying the reverse, that he is the one, that he's the victim. But again, only time will tell, and as we investigate. So I would say my question to you is, as they're investigating this, do you think he needs to sit down and be out of Sunday's game? Or do you think because we don't have the full story yet, he should be allowed to play on Sunday?
Well, the NFL is different from the other sports because of the agreement that the players sign. So basically, the commissioner is judge, jury, and execution. So he don't have to be convicted. They can sit him down. It's called the
Well, that's fine, but I'm not even talking about them. I'm talking about, what do you think?
I mean, it's hard because it should be an investigation. Um, they can put him on. I forgot the name of the list. It's a list you can put somebody on where you actually still get paid, but you just can't be at the facility. They can put him on that list, but I think before you put him on that list, there has to be some investigation. has to be something. You just can't. It's just like somebody saying he hit me, then you just arrested him. But it has to be something where you could say, okay, this story came out, and especially a team that's in the mix for a playoff run that could affect their season. That was a team that's 1-7, ain't going nowhere. Sit them
But I
down.
don't think. But if you're going to make a decision, I don't think that should be any basis for
I
you
don't
making
think
a decision.
I
So,
understand that because this decision, when they sit him down, he can still get his money. So his money's not going to be affected. That's what I'm saying. But what I'm saying is that before you do anything, because they could sit him down. That's what I'm trying to make to you. In other sports, they can't do that without some type of situation. In NFL, because they signed this agreement, they can sit him down.
well,
They
no,
can.
they can. But listen, they can sit anybody down at any time if they wanted to. I mean, listen, just like a job has the free will, they could fire you.
Mhm.
You can be fired, sit down at any time. But I'm just saying that, forget about all of their rules or regulations. If it was up to you to make the decision based upon the limited information that you have right now, would you say, you know what? He can play on Sunday, or would you say no? He needs to not play until we get more information about this situation. Keeping in mind that you're running this and you know the whole Me Too movement and all of that. Would you make the call to say play on Sunday, or would you make the call to say, you know what, I'm sorry, this information came out. We need more information. And while we gather more information, you got to sit down. You cannot play on Sunday.
I would, because it came out. I would say I would. I would let him play Sunday because I need to see more information from what I read. Because I only read the TMZ report. Okay, so I don't have that's what I have based on what I read in TMZ report. She blamed him, he blamed her. You
So
know,
you're going to let him play.
from what I read. You said from what I read. From what I read, I would blame. I would let him play down. By the time Sunday's game come around, the more information I got, then I can make a decision to say, okay, I'm gonna sit you down for the rest of the season. You know what I mean? But right now, like I said, I didn't see the pictures. So I'm just putting it out there. I'm telling you from what I read. I didn't see any pictures. The only thing I saw was a screenshot from a phone. And they both blamed each other. I'm not saying the pictures of whatever's going on. You saw more than what I saw. I looked up as quick as I could. I was on TMZ. I looked it up. I read on it. And he's claiming she did. He told the story where he claimed she snuck through the house, through the garage, stuck in the house and pulled a gun on him. And then she claims that she was going to break up with him and he pulled the gun on her. That's what I read. I didn't see any pictures. I didn't see none of that. So that's what I'm saying. That's why you said based on what I read
I
and based
understand.
on
I'm
what I
following you. So even from what you're saying, I will go by what just if I was the owner of the team, if I was the one in charge, just based on the accusation alone, I would say, you know what? Hold up. You got to sit down until I gather more information and see what's going on. I got to investigate. No different than if we was working in Walmart and somebody came to me and said, "Oh, person A was stealing." I'm not going to let them keep working. I'm going to say, okay, I don't know what happened, but I got this information, so I got to look into it. Why I look into it, you're suspended with pay or whatever. Go sit home. Once the investigation is done or I finish looking into it, then I'll let you know. And that's when we're going to bring you back because you don't want the lack of information you don't have to bite you in the booty if you let the person stay. So it's unfortunate. You're saying this, she's saying that. Somewhere in the middle, there's the truth. And I gotta sit you down until I find the truth. Um, Too much is given, much is required. You are an NFL player. Make sure you know who you hanging out with, even if this chick is your girlfriend, a person that you want to sleep with every now and then. Get your life together. It's not my fault that you have chosen to surround yourself with people and now you're in this situation. Not my circus. And guess what? Since it's not my circus, I'm going to hand that back over to you. You messed up. So since you messed up, Now I got to go stop what I'm doing and investigate this situation before I let you come back and engage with the team and be in the game. And even if you my star player, oh well, I got to take the hit. And see, that's what the problem is with teams also, right? They depend on the Kobe Bryants. They depend on the LeBron James. Well, how about this? Build up everybody on your team so that when one of your star players want to mess up and act a fool, the next one is ready to step in line and do what they got to do. So that's the type of team I would try to run. But unfortunately, even though we don't have a whole lot of information, this one right here, Devin Cook, you got to sit down. And I hear you. You did a nice little conference. You was calm and everything, and you said more is going to come out. So, but and then got the nerves to say you gonna play on Sunday. No, bro, you're not playing until the more comes out and we find out more, and then I will let you play. That's my verdict, and I'm sorry, but that's what I got to do.
Mm-hmm. Like I said, I think it should be an investigation because there was played for the Browns. I forgot who it was, but it was somebody where a woman made a false accusation to get back at her man. And so, like, this was years ago. I think it was the Browns. Not quite sure, but this is the situation. It's the middle of the week because the NFL, the way they do it, they practicing. This comes out on a Wednesday, right? She said he hit her this, that, and the third. When now, if the investigative can move swift enough to find out something before Sunday, then it is what it is. You know what I mean? But right now, until you investigate more and see what's going on, you know, should he take the hit? Is and like I said, it's better to I see where you're coming from. I'm not mad at you, but at the same time, like I said, based on what I read, like I didn't see pictures, I didn't see this, I didn't see that.
Well, you
I
can.
just, yeah, I probably know I can probably do it. Yeah, so just like you didn't see the screenshot, so they both, but like I said, I couldn't fault the NFL either way. If they let him play or they didn't let him play this week, unless something came out where definitively he put his hands on her, then. But if she chose to let him play or they didn't let him play, it's either one or the other. Now moving forward, you should have more answers. By next week, Sunday, you should have more answers. You should
But
do
Kevin,
it.
knowing there's a whole sensitivity in the world right now, right? Knowing that there was a whole Me Too movement, you going to take that hit and take that chance and let this man play on Sunday? Nah, we got enough
Didn't
information.
John Gruden say something bad about blacks and gay people, and he still coached on Sunday? They fired him. He resigned on Monday, but guess what? He went through the whole week. It came out. The emails came out. Then more emails came out, and he sat on the sideline against the Chicago Bears, and he coached the team.
But they
And
messed up.
the owner said it was it was already a game plan. He didn't want to mess things up, and he waited till Monday, and that was that. But here's the deal: no one's talking about it. The owner made a statement. Dude is out. That's it. No one's going. Oh, you should have. Some people felt you should have suspended him that Saturday. Should have fired. You know what I mean? Got rid of him
So
on Saturday.
because one person messed up, now I'm going to continue to go down the path and mess up too. No, he messed up. He should have fired him on the spot, right? So now you got a recovery period. So this person right here, I'm sorry, I don't have nothing against the actual individual, this Devin Cook, but I'm talking about what's right and what's wrong, right?
Okay, let me
Right. Let me
explain.
finish though. Let me tell you something. Here's what's right. Nobody says you're fired as of the moment, but what we are saying is there's a situation here. Son ain't right. Son ain't right. We don't know what's not right. And you have your story, and I'm not discounting your story, but I gotta dig a little further. But while I'm digging, I'm sorry, you're not going to play. I'm
Mm-hmm.
going to gather my information, and you know what? I'll be nice. You get suspended. If we're gonna call it suspended, you get
Mm-hmm.
suspended with pay. So go home, watch the game on your nice big TV in your house or wherever you at, and wait till we call you on the phone and tell you all is well. But until
Mm-hmm.
we call you and tell you all is well, sit over there.
Hey, like I said, I ain't mad, but at the same time, like I said, you know, it's an accusation. So I mean, it's an unfortunate situation. Just bottom line. I mean, uh, it's just an unfortunate situation. You know, uh, somebody's lying. We don't know who yet. I do agree with you. You need to watch who you walk with, who you talk with, especially when you got a lot on the line, because you work too hard to get what you got. To get, you know what I mean? And that's how I feel. Like, you work too hard, and that's what I would tell my nephew or my son or grandson or whoever who got to that point. Like, now you're here, you work too hard to mess this up.
Even your daughter.
Yeah, I'm talking about it as a player. Yeah, you work too hard to mess this up. You work too hard to, put yourself in this situation where, and the people you have around you does matter. It does matter.
Your
Somebody needs
circle
to.
matter. Your
Yeah,
circle
because
matter.
if he beat her for 3 years, somebody had to see it. That's my thing. You ain't. I don't think you had. If you whooped her for 3 years, somebody saw something. You didn't just go. You know what I mean? Somebody saw something, and that's my thing. It's like, okay,
Well, they
somebody saw
might, they
something.
might, they might start talking. So, Kev, let's wrap this up. We had three topics tonight. Two of them had to deal with like the NFL, and one of them, all unfortunate situations, and the other one was this Astro World with Travis Scott. So, what are your final thoughts on Astro World, Travis Scott? And do you think that he can perhaps maybe go bankrupt over this situation?
Um, he got fans. I don't think he's gonna go bankrupt. It's not. I mean, you know, people have allegations. What they said. What was that thing? Surviving R. Kelly. His sales went up. I mean, so so I don't know. I'm sure it'd be a different situation than another concert. I don't know if he's on tour, but I know it could. If he's on tour, it could shut down the tour. I'm not sure. Well, the next event, it could be an issue. Um, what I don't see is how you going to sue him and not sue the promoter.
I think they suing everybody, but he's definitely listed in the lawsuits. And
Yeah,
here's the
he's in a
thing,
lawsuit.
Kevin.
Yeah.
What insurance company do you think is going to insure his concert after this situation?
Depends on how much money he could bring in.
You
There was a
really
situation in the '80s. There was a situation in the '80s with Guns N' Roses opening up for Metallica, and a straight riot broke out. Okay, straight riot broke out. People got trampled. It was crazy. Those guys still do tours. They stop their careers.
it's
They
a
still
different
pop.
climate. It's different
If
climate.
it's a different climate, but my thing is this: if if when you have millions of fans, somebody's going to show up. Someone's going to show up. I guarantee you. I bet you, I'll put my last dollar on it. If you released, and I'm not saying he can do a big concert. If you release someone like R. Kelly out right now, and he did a show, I guarantee he's going to sell tickets. He may not sell out Madison Square Garden, but I guarantee he can do something. Somebody's going to show up. So that's what I believe. So Travis Scott, he issued an apology. I know he said something about if he could help victims and stuff like that. The lawsuit's going to come out, but if he can fill up a venue, his insurance might be higher, but somebody will insure him. Somebody will insure him. If you that type of draw, somebody will insure him.
Okay, what do you feel your final thoughts are on this Aaron Rodgers and the player words on his vaccination status?
He played victim in that interview. We didn't talk about the interview he did, where he quoted Martin Luther King, and he talked about he's learned this wasn't about that. Um, this was a situation where you just lie, and um, where I'm in Houston, and the whole thing is just crazy. They showed up on 4 p.m. news, how they rushed to the VIP section. Then they should have gotten a handle on it. Okay, thank you, Sassy. But as far as Aaron Rodgers, you just a liar. Don't I'm gonna hear play on words. You thought you and say you thought you was going to fool the system. You probably see him now. Watch me roll through the whole season without a mask on, and he probably would. You know what I mean? And he got caught. My issue is it's not defined that the team should have got fined more. I think he should get fined and suspended because other players from other teams had to quarantine because of him. He could have caused the outbreak, which means, and they say if you cause an outbreak, if you can't play because of COVID, you don't get paid. So in other words, if you get injured and you break a leg, you get paid for that game because you're under contract. Odell Beckham just got cut by the Cleveland Browns a couple of days ago. He still gets his 7 point whatever $1 million owed to him, and whatever else as a whatever bonus he's getting for the rest of the season. But if you, because of COVID, not following protocol, causes someone or you don't get paid for that game. So if he would have caused the outbreak and two teams couldn't play and the game is postponed, nobody would have got paid.
They might have changed it because of what he did,
No, they
but
didn't. That's the mandate because I was watching that. That's the if you got
I'm
a
not saying
postpone.
it's not, Kevin. What I said to you was maybe once they would have found out that because he was being pretty much a super spreader, they might have changed it for those other players that were impacted, and it wouldn't have been their fault. I'm not saying that what you're saying is not true. Just to go back 1 second to what Sassy said, that Astro World is just it's devastating. It's tragic. My heart is completely broken for everyone that is suffering. But I read this story about the 9-year old, and I just it really broke my heart. And everyone is saying that yes, they should have done more. And I'm wondering if they need for venues like that, they need to have a whole set of rules written up to say for every 100 people, and I'm making this up right now, you need 3 security people. I read something about one security guard who said like the training that they were trying to give for people to work at this venue was below average, and he did not take the job because he was not comfortable with the training, and said that they were understaffed and not prepared to handle this crowd. So it's a lot of people that are going to have to answer to this Astro World situation, and my heart is broken for all parties involved. Because here's the thing, I have signed plenty of documents that I did not read every single word of the document. And so for Travis Scott and all of the other artists that performed at this particular thing, I'm sure that when they were signing these documents, they did not read every single word to know that, oh, there were going to be 30 security or 100 or 2,000 or whatever. But on the flip side, ignorance is no excuse when it comes to the law. And that's why I'm thinking that unfortunately, um, he's going to take a really big hit on this, and really take a really big hit because they have historical tweets where they're going to say that he pretty much, I'm encouraged, you know, these type of situations at previous concerts of his. It just it's going to be messy. And again, my prayers go out to the people. This Aaron Rodgers, in my opinion, to close out, Kevin, I feel like he should have been fined more. And he should have been fined more because he can play around with the words if he wants to. He know when he said in that conference that he was immunized and that he wasn't going to judge any other player who didn't want to get vaccinated. He knew that everyone was taking it as he was vaccinated, and him getting COVID exposed him, and so now he's trying to backtrack on his words. So for the fact alone that one, he didn't tell the truth or was misleading about the truth. Two, he went to places where he know the rules were strict about people that were not vaccinated, what they should and shouldn't do. And he went in further, like expose other people or, been around other people. He was just messy, left, right, left, back and forth. So $15,000 was definitely not enough. And why would the Green Bay Packers get a bigger fine than him? And they should fine him even more because they got fined so severely because of his actions.
He should have got 300,000.
Yes.
They should have got, because most teams get fined $500,000. So
Uh,
300,000. I don't know why. Because I know the Patriots got fined $500,000 for Cam Newton. Excuse me. So they should have fined the team at least 10 million, and they should
yeah,
have lost 2 draft picks, and he
yeah,
should be suspended the game.
it should be harsher. And the NFL player from the Minnesota Vikings, we do need more details, but I will say this for I want to say Delvin Cook, um, it ain't looking good.
No.
But I can't say what did not happen, might have happened, whatever. Um, it is not looking good. It's looking a little sketchy right now. Um, and time will tell.
Mm-hmm.
But thank you everyone for joining us for this Relationship Wednesday. Good conversation. We will be back next Wednesday and probably chat a little bit more about relationships. Because like I said, you said it's been 3 weeks, Kevin. It's like, wow, I didn't even realize that. So I had fun with you tonight. Thanks
All
for the
right.
conversation. And everyone, I will see you next week. Bye.
Good night.